We're live. Everybody take a moment to appreciate Lauren's hair. No one's even here. I just love how good your hair looks today.
Thanks. I think it's the accessory.
You're convinced it's the expensive sunglasses that really make the hair.
Oh, I think it's sunglasses in general. But yeah, totally.
It was the high-class headband.
I have a headband and it does not look as good as these, just saying. All right. Well, while we wait for people to show up, I think we could hop right into kind of just looking at some of the blocks, because I know that you had on our agenda to talk about some of the cool blocks that people have been emailing us about and specifically asking for.
Yes. Hi,
So I
Laura.
think we'll run through those. Yay, Laura's here.
It says there's someone else here too. Introduce yourself. We would love to chat with you and share any questions, and we'll review those after the little agenda that I assigned to us.
Perfect. Okay, well, you guys drop your questions in the chat. I'm just going to go through kind of like two main plugins and then a third one as well, and just kind of walk through those a little bit. So the first one that we've definitely had some people reaching out to us about is this automatic FAQ toggle. And you can see it in our demo site for Baked and Branded. This right here.
And
this is really Melissa.
Hey, Melissa.
This is really geared towards like people who don't have Baked and Branded and are wanting something like this in their site. If you wanted to have collapsible drop downs for your FAQs, you could really easily add that with our plugin called Automatic FAQ Toggle. So Hannah will drop this link in the chat, but this is just a small plugin that will automatically turn your FAQs into toggles. They don't use any JavaScript. They have very minimal CSS. And then you can add, in our case, here, I'm going to show you in our post, you can add in just like a background on this. And it looks, I'm pretty sure it looks like this by default. There are, of course, some styles you can add to it with CSS, but for the most part, it just like works out of the box. So let me just show you real quick, and then I'll move on to the next one, that our FAQ is right here. So we put it inside of a group with a background. We gave it a heading, but this is just the Yoast FAQ block. And it looks the same on the back end, only on the front end will it have these nice collapse, which I think is pretty useful for a lot of those questions you get in comments that you're tired of answering. So they're also like, because they don't use display none, they use like modern HTML. They should show up in search results without Google being like, oh, they're hiding this content, which is sometimes the case with other sort of toggles. So check this one out if you haven't already. The other one that I wanted to mention is our post type product links. We use this one for like affiliate shops, but there's a lot of different ways you could use it. You could use it to link out to your own. Yeah, thanks for dropping that in the chat, Hannah. Your own like products that you have somewhere else, whether it be that you're selling stuff through Kit. I set that up recently for someone. We have a client who's going to use it to link over to their Shopify page. They basically want a pretty site that lists their products with their own branding, and then they're just sending someone to a secondary place to check out. And so this is like a really simple plugin, which I'm always proud of making, like small plugins. But I have it here where you can see that in Baked and Branded, we do have a whole like template laid out for it. And I do recommend that you're using the block theme or any block theme with this plugin, because you can build out an archive really nicely with it. But it'll automatically take whatever you're linking to and then link out your image and title to that affiliate link or that external site. So it's meant to link to an external site. And then in addition to having like this archive page, you can set up categories to organize it by like products I use versus products I recommend. I don't know, anything like that. You'll also see that you can use it inside of a post. So here I have recommended products. And again, you can see if you're looking at the bottom left where the URL is, you can see that's linking directly out to Amazon affiliate links. And that is a query loop. So when I scroll up in my editor and then I go into here, in this query loop, just like I would with posts, in my sidebar, I can select either exactly which products I want to show up, which is probably going to be really useful when you're doing a recipe and there's like specific items you're using. Or if you just want to say like, here are the latest products I recommend, you can just pull in the latest products. So this is just pulling in the 4 latest, like newest products we've added. But it's super easy to set up, to use, to manage. And then if you have a lot of affiliate links that you're managing, and then you want to go back and like update them, you don't have to go into every post and update it. You update the one item that you created. So I will go update this digital kitchen scale, which is kind of like a post. Go update that, and then it updates everywhere.
Which is so
We've
nice.
definitely had some people that have been asking about shops, and they usually don't know that you could use this plugin. They're asking for like something very specific, and I'm like, I have a very simple plugin for you. And they're like, but I really need to sell products. And I'm like, you should not install WooCommerce. You will regret it. Use this plugin and link out to any other system.
Yeah. Multiple systems.
We're working with food bloggers. You guys are not trying to start an online shop. Yeah. So WooCommerce is going to be just like way too complicated.
I just love that you can organize everything, no matter what you're using. Amazon, Shopify, you have some ClickFunnels somewhere that you want to talk about with an ebook on Kit, and you can have it all in this one central hub to know.
Ooh, that was good, guys. This is really good. What flavor is this?
Oh, the kombucha
ginger
today.
Ginger lime.
Huh? Ooh,
that's why. It's got passion flower. It's got elderflower. Okay, this is very floral, and I love it. Okay, it's called Wildflower. No, I feel a little dumb. It's delicious. Hannah had a third one on the list for me.
It is one of our query loops. I think Post Selector Block, which is free. But we could really use any of our query loop plugins.
Yeah, we have like 3 of them. But I think the best one by far is Query Loop Post Selector, and it's on the WordPress repository because we got it on there a while ago when it was slightly easier to get plugins on the WordPress repository. So that one's completely free. You can search for your, like in the WordPress add plugin area, you can search for Query Loop Post Selector or just like Query Loop Post or something like that. It'll show up. And I love it because you can use it with non-posts. So here you could use it with product links, but it makes doing grids like this super easy where you don't have to say like, okay, I want my latest post from this category. You can pick exactly which posts you want to show up in each category. And we have so many clients that have used it throughout the year, and now it's like the simplest plugin. So here, like I can just pick and I can type in like some keyword and it'll place in the posts I want, pull all the information in automatically, and then put them in order.
Yeah. So
Melissa says that's what she was missing.
Everyone needs it for your category pages, for your home pages. I'm going through making like 50 category pages right now, and I'm touching this plugin in every single block, and it is my lifeline. It's how I'm getting things done, but it's so much faster than before. Your templated classic themes were great, Lauren, but I like this more.
I do too. I love how like reusable everything is. Yeah. And like once you have a foundation down, like you just get so proficient in it. So yeah, I want to help people get that. I feel like there's a missing piece where like I need to get people that proficiency and that level of confidence. But then like once you have that foundation, all this stuff is so much easier. And it just becomes like you could have someone automatically do it in 5 minutes, but I'd rather take 20 minutes to like have complete control over it.
Yeah. I
know I'm making it sound like it takes more time. It doesn't always, but I could go on a tangent there and I'm holding myself back.
We've had a very educational custom client week. So Lauren has lots of thoughts and feelings on that.
Yeah. I really want to go on that tangent now. I must hold myself back. Okay. Well, really, I just wanted to go through these plugins. I know Hannah had them on our agenda for us. But the reason is because we've had like a lot of people reaching out about those. And so hoping that, you guys see this and you're like, Melissa, where you're like, that's what I was missing. I needed that one piece.
Yeah.
And these are all like really 3 of our easiest ones. So
Query loop, and is that the only one that automatically comes with baked and branded? I think the other two would be included in a membership or purchased as a standalone plugin, right? What's included in our bundle? Should I go look at that? Do you love
Yeah, you can look.
I'm going.
Because I don't remember anymore. Especially I've been making a bunch of compromises on trying to get plugins that people need. So
yeah, absolutely.
Because they're so helpful. Like they're not necessary.
But
like it's not necessary. You could do this manually. But having a way to organize these products and then just like quickly put them in saves so much time. That like it's not necessary, but you want it. Yeah. You want that.
You do. Way better. So Melissa and Laura, do you have questions for us? Do you have things that we could cover today? I know we have.
Just so you guys know, this is really all we wanted to go over, was just kind of introduce this, and then we wanted to answer questions. So whatever questions you guys have, I'm here to play through anything. Bring me your wildest dreams. Otherwise, like we'll just wrap up early. I don't want to just take up everyone's time with just like with the purpose of filling it. So yeah, no worries, Laura. We're not going to wrap up like right now. But I just wanted to let you guys know, like this is totally your time. So if you have stuff that you want us to work on, let us know.
So I did check in the back end. Sorry, guys. Tucker's feeling very vocal about what I'm assuming is the mailman. Baked and branded does include all of the query loop plugins. So Melissa, you should have that in your back end. And you can add all of the query loop plugins, advanced operators. But FAQ toggle and post type product links would be a separate purchase. I would recommend, because I think post type product links is $199, just go ahead and get the membership. That way you get all of our advanced plugins, because man, don't get me started. We have an old, what was the name of last February's plugin workshop?
February Fridays.
February Fridays. We covered how you can use these plugins in or with dynamic connector block and automatic block inserter to make them super powerful. And you would probably love that. And you're going to get everything with a membership to be able to do things like that in bulk across your whole site pretty quickly. Okay. Let's see. Laura's got her first question. She says, the small round logo that you use on the blocks, how do you move it to the other corner? Can you? And Lauren says, hold my screen and watch this.
Watch how fast I can click.
I'm the fastest clicker.
Okay, so let me insert one of the blocks that has that, and I will show you how we do it.
Melissa, I agree. I do think you already grabbed the membership. So it should be in Freemius. Just upload those plugins to your site and you'll be good to go. And then if you have questions while you're customizing them, email us, come ask on a Wednesday, whatever you want. I'm excited to see what questions you do have.
Okay, this is maybe not the best example because when I move this to the left, it's going to overlap with some text. But it is an example. So we're going to start with it, and then we can pick another one if we want to.
I don't love this one because of the image background. Don't you like that?
Okay, I'm going to find another.
I want one of the list ones where like the in post block. I'm so opinionated.
I think I need to rename with sidebar to like post content or something.
Maybe.
Because every time I look for it, I can't find it. Because it says the word sidebar.
Yeah.
So I can't find it. It doesn't exist to me. Okay, this one?
That looks better.
You don't love that one? That's the
one.
I
like that one. That's the one I wanted.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I just read Melissa's comment as well. So I got a little distracted by that. But first, so this is technically an in-post one, but it'll work the same for any of them. They should exist inside of a row. And so you'll see that like in your image here is inside of this row. And then I have selected the image and you're going to notice that it has custom classes.
I just want to take a moment to notice that I read Laura's mind and this is the one that she cared about. Thank you. Thank you all for coming to my TED Talk. This made my Wednesday. You can now proceed with your actual explanation of what we're doing.
That's hilarious. So there's a couple things we're going to have to do this. One of them is we have these margins, and we're definitely going to have to change these. The negative top margin is pulling it above this tan line right here. That's good. We're going to keep that there. But this margin right is pulling it to the right of this line, and we're going to end up wanting this to go left instead. So here, I'm literally just going to change this to left. It's not in the correct position yet, but margin left 70 negative is going to get it to the other, like negative when we get it to the other side. You could have done this in a different order. But the other thing is that I have these set to like justify. And I'm going to need to just put them both on the left, essentially. So we're not there yet because it looks goofy. And I'm not entirely sure why. I'm totally going to have to figure that out. But you are going to need them both to go over to, you got to change this depth. Let me leave it and then see if I can get the image to go over first, and then I'll show you what happens. Okay, so in my row, do I have any custom classes applied here? I do. Row reverse. So I'm going to delete that. Row reverse was just saying to flip those two pieces, deleting that class. Remember that once you make these changes on your site, you can save it into a pattern so you don't have to figure this out every time. Like you're going to set up a pattern and then insert it, and it's going to work just the way you want it. But this is what happens when I remove that row reverse. See how this one's on the left where we want it now, but the text here is over far on the right. That's because of this justification that I was setting. So I want to change that to left. So now this is justify left. It's really close to where we want it, except that this text is kind of pushed to the right now. And the reason that's happening is because when we had it flipped, there was so much space that you didn't notice that gap. But now we are seeing that gap. And so we want to remove, like decrease the space between these two items in order to try and get this one more to the left. This, because of where we're positioning it, Hannah, go.
Lauren's getting pixel perfect. I would have said, yay, done. And she is pixel perfect. So she's like, there's a spacing issue. I can envision a designer in Mox being like, this is 50 pixels off for, I'm going to say 80%, maybe 70% of anyone using a pre-made theme. We're like, boom, we did it. We did it. Because you didn't back do it. But go ahead and make it pixel perfect. I love you. And I'm sorry.
I don't even think about it. It's when you say it. And I'm like, oh my God, she's so right. Like that, this does look good. But I would want the text to be further to the left.
Do you, boo? Let's see it.
And if you have a different size, like if you change this image to be larger than 80, your spacing that we're about to change might be a little different than mine. Okay. But I'm essentially just going to decrease this block spacing. It starts here. So when I set here, it doesn't change, but I'm going to decrease it and it's going to pull that text left. So I honestly like it here, but I could even move it there if I wanted. I kind of like it here. What happens if I put a paragraph after it? Bloop, bloop, bloop. Oh, see how like it's still to the right? No, I got to decrease it more.
I feel like it's necessary. You don't want them touching.
I know. Yeah, I feel like I would do it here. I would do it there. You could leave it the way it is and it would have looked great.
We did it. We did it.
I would decrease the spacing, but I would put it here. Or I would potentially even, like, if I wanted it to be further to the left, I would potentially even make this icon smaller, depending on what my icon looks like. I mean, I know I'm losing this text here, so I'd maybe use a different icon. But look, now this lines up even better. I like this.
I like it too. And Laura said, thank you.
Okay.
Go to the question.
Can I I wonder if I can copy paste this in. I'm going to do this, Laura, and this is at your own risk. I'm going to copy paste this whole block, and you can paste this HTML into your site and see if it works. Oh, the comment's too long.
Aw, email it.
Laura.
Oh, nope, she has a different hack. Of course she does.
Block. Okay.
So magical.
And
This is
that'll have it with the smaller image and the text align left.
Look at that. Okay. Melissa's question, are you ready, or do you have more fun things to hand out for free?
No, I can move on. I can move on.
We're here with so much energy and action, and I love it. Okay, so Melissa said, the category button sliders were sliding up and down on my site, so I removed them temporarily. Is there a way to stop that?
Interesting. Okay, so I actually just noticed that on a different site I'm working on as well. And I don't know the answer yet because I didn't notice that happening previously. I love that it's not on the page I'm looking for it on. Be chill. Need an example. Another client mentioned that the same thing is happening on her site.
There.
Oh yeah, but it doesn't happen for me. So, Melissa, can you send one? I'm going to fix it on my client site and see if I can figure it out. Ooh, the ones under the header, even weirder.
Okay.
Two, can you send me an example so I can look at it on your site? Because I don't think that's the category button slider were sliding up and down, so I removed them is a way to stop that.
Sliding up. I'm just having a hard time picturing it, and then I'm thinking like, any of my guesses are going to be completely off base. So I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not really sure, Melissa. I think I would need to see it to see what's happening. This one is sliding up and down a little bit on this client site, just a tiny bit.
Whoa.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be. And there's a fix for it, and I don't remember what it is.
I really like her icons. Can we take a moment to like they're dancing? They just want us to notice them.
Oops, I was trying to click. I was trying to double click that link, and
It's just in mobile, and it's on anothercocktailblog.com. Huh, that's so strange.
Okay, so, it is actually happening here on desktop as well. And it's that same thing, but I don't know why that happens. Okay, this is so cute.
I love it. Oh my gosh.
44.
Can I share your site places? If we fix the dancing.
44, 44, 40, everything's 44.
Because Lauren loves her fours.
Wow, just happens to be 44. Thank you very much.
Okay,
so I don't know the answer to this right now, and I honestly want to play with it, but I don't know if you guys want to watch me play with it. And I know you had another question, Melissa. So let's do this. Let me look at your other question and see what that's about. And then I'll come back. Well, one, I'll answer any other questions you guys have, but then I'll come back and I'll play with this a little bit. However, I'm going to be like playing with code stuff. So that might be the point where you guys are like, I asked all my questions. I'm dipping out, Lauren. And I won't be offended.
Oh, it's because she has like good tasting kombucha. Okay, I will pull up the question. Speaking of custom classes, can you create a list of these for us to plug into different blocks to move the margins easily? Like if I wanted to create custom blocks beyond what's in baked and branded. Oh, so our 60 plus blocks aren't enough for you? I'm sorry, I'm being silly. Everyone wants to customize their blocks. This makes perfect sense.
And I'm more upset that you didn't just commit to giving her a hard time. You're like, I would straight into teasing her and then straight on to apologizing. I need you to commit next time. Okay, yes, I can pull together a list of the custom classes that exist throughout the baked and branded. I'm actually trying to move all of those into plugins as well so that there's like at least a small interface that goes with, even if it's managed by like adding a custom class, which actually is how most of blocks are managed. So I am trying to come up with plugins for even the negative margins. I know that's one that we're working on, but we have some that are taking precedence. So I will make a list for you and publish that somewhere. And Hannah's writing it down so that she can remind me that I said I would do this.
Oh, you are so kind and loving, and I totally did write that down, and then I was like, "Oh, wow, another thing where we're supposed to organize and then follow up." I'm totally
Okay.
forget that.
Writing it down myself.
My to-do list goes somewhere to die, guys. I'm so sorry, and especially if it's, like, organizing things, ask Lauren about our Google Drive. Better yet, don't.
It was organized before Hannah.
Pre-Hannah. When was that? 2017? So sad.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a list of creator classes. Maybe if we end up ending early, I'll just do that with the rest of the hour. I don't think it'll take me long, but
or specifically baked and branded, or just
yes. Sorry, I wrote baked and branded, and then I crossed it out and I wrote creator because I don't think I made custom classes for baked and branded because I was specifically trying to avoid that. All the classes that I use are managed in the parent theme. That way, if they needed updates, they would get them from a creator like base update. But they're super straightforward, so I'm hoping they don't need updates. I'll make a list of these. A lot of them are actually already managed by plugins. So like the grid variation something plugin, that one used to be just custom classes. And then we made a plugin that supports it. And then there's another one as well that was like, this was just classes. Something about mobile breakpoints, maybe. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna play with this. And then after that, I'm going to make my list of classes. Yeah. Was it just the negative margins that are popped into CSS classes? It's mostly them. There are some other ones that are pretty minor. So there's like one for Z index and one for position relative, which supports Z index, which just makes whatever you have like sit on top of everything else. Can I do that real quick? Actually, can I show you guys this? I'm going to see if I can do it on her site. Okay, so sources, WB content, themes, creator theme premium, styles, utility classes. So these are all of the classes that I could document. Oh yeah, this is the other one, hide on mobile, hide on tablet, hide on desktop. There is a plugin that does this now. I don't know what it's called. We have too many plugins. I don't know. But all it does is essentially add an interface for you to select which device you want to hide something on, and then it applies this class to that block.
It's device display. I will link.
Thank you, Hannah. We have one for adding icons. For the most part, this is only used on buttons. So whenever you want to add an arrow, if you just add the class has icon, it adds an arrow. But technically it's set up so that we could add different icons in the future. So you can do like has dash icon dash and then a name, and it'll do a different icon in the future. To avoid having a boatload of CSS, I don't have a ton of icons. There's other ways to do that. But it does, this has icon is set up to support adding that arrow onto your buttons and potentially other things. Like we have one for the search button. And then with a lot of my custom sites, I code in either like I change the arrow icon to be a chevron, or we add like a couple other options. There's a way to add colors to those icons. I almost never use that, but you could get fancy with it. This is for the we do have a chevron. So apparently there's already support for has icon chevron. So if you wanted to use chevrons instead of arrows, you could just change the class from has icon arrow to has icon chevron. A lot of like rotating icons. This is so your icons, instead of just going right, they can go down or left or up. You're welcome.
But you haven't agreed to make them dance yet.
We're getting there. Weirdly, it's not on the top of my priorities.
Weird.
Okay, we have a class called Fix Hovers, and this is just for when you have like applied a when you like, if you notice here, these buttons are only getting bigger. They don't change colors. So if you added the class fix hovers, it would add just an underline on hover. So because WordPress core doesn't support changing colors, like when you set a color, it overwrites whatever's in the theme, and then it won't pull in any of the like focus, hover, or active states. If you do fix hovers, it adds in just like underlines back into your buttons, just for accessibility. So those are added in like places where I know it's in use, but if you're changing colors of buttons, you're probably not adding this class, and that's okay. You'll only baked and branded. I made sure that I added a zoom to buttons so you have some sort of change that's happening. Fixed typography, you don't need this. This is like an old fix for an older version of WordPress that will eventually need to be pulled out. So these are a bunch of fixes for typography, but mostly now I used this. If you guys remember during the Baked and Branded Feature Fest, like if you go into your like global styles and you style your buttons there are certain items that when you go to override it later, so letter spacing is one, or yet letter case and line height, it doesn't like override it. And then I could add this and it would correctly grab it. I don't think I explained that well at all, but I'm going to move on. I just don't do that in my global styles anymore. I style every button individually because of this issue. Hover, underline, very specific use case, but there are times when I need to add underline back in on hover. Like if the link was supposed to have an underline and then hover without an underline and I removed the underline, then this class lets me re-add the underline. So a lot of accessibility things here are what's happening with these classes. This is what Melissa's actually interested in, which is our negative margins. Sometimes to do a negative margin, depending on how it's set up, I need this position relative. So that's just like a helper class. But negative margins go from 20 to 80. And they match the same amount of the positive margins. They just make it negative. So you can see it's adding in the same amount that you would use anywhere else. And then it's multiplying it to make it negative. So 20, 30, 40, 50. Wait, we're only on 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. The reason there's so many of them is because you've got like you want it to be negative everywhere. So this is just margin top 80 negative. If you only want it to be negative on mobile, you preface it with mobile dash and then the same class, tablet between these two screen sizes, and then desktop, which is above this. So we'll end up releasing a plugin that'll let you customize those breakpoints and then like have some sort of interface where you can say what amount of negative you want. But the reason we haven't done it yet is because WordPress technically supports negative margins. It's just that they don't support them in something scalable like this. They only support them as like exactly 20 pixels, which I usually don't want. I want it to scale with the rest of my design. Oh, and then we have this multiple times because we have it for margin top, right, bottom, and left. So this is going to scroll for quite a minute. All right. We've got some hacks for setting the height to 100. There are height settings in a lot of blocks, but if you can't find the height setting, so there are some cases where either a block or in a certain, like in a group, like if it's in a row, I think you can't use height settings, something along those lines. If you can't find the height settings, you can force the height by using height 100. And then I've got like a couple where I've used it before and I've known it's been needed to like go into a child. But we have height 100, which is for the current element. And then you have child height 100, which will be the next element. You only ever need to use this in very specific use cases where you've looked at your HTML and you can't access the child. So you have to apply it to a parent. Same thing for width. There is a width setting in Gutenberg settings. You can usually apply that to whatever block you need. But if for some reason you can't find it or it's not working as expected, you can add a class and the same child support. These child supports are like, you got to be familiar with HTML and CSS, and they're pretty niche like use cases. Background images, I haven't done a lot with these, so we'll probably have to build these classes out in the future, or just hope that WordPress like does better background support. But there are background size classes that will let you change how, if you add a background into using a block and you want to set the size of it, they don't currently have a setting for size contain. They do have where you can set it to a certain pixel amount, but if I just want it to constrain to the box that it's in, then I use this class. And then I have background repeat none. I don't believe that this is necessary anymore because of updates they made to the background settings. So I don't think you would need this one. But it does exist if I'm wrong. Position absolute, you would only need these if you're writing custom code. So these are more for me than for you. Well, they're more for developers than for the average user. Position absolute will give it this position, but you would still need to add CSS probably that's going to say like where that position is. Because if you do position absolute, I think it defaults to top 0, left 0. And if you want it to be anywhere else, you have to add in your own CSS that gives those new values. But I do believe that obviously I needed it once, or more than once, because I put everything in child themes, and then when I start needing it multiple times, I move it into the creator parent so that it's available to everyone. Is position sticky? This is for if you want something to stay in position on your site. However, it's specifically how do I explain it? Creating sticky elements on the site only works if they're like top level items. And there are times when either the top level item does not have the sticky setting, and so I can use this class. That's actually the main reason I use it. But in order to use it, you also have to set a different item to sticky so that other CSS from WordPress loads. I should document this one better. It's helpful, but it's finicky. I have a way to remove margins. In order to use this, you have to be able to add a body class. So you need another plugin to use this. I would also have to document this one. I think there's a plugin I've used on a couple sites called like body class for pages or something. Obviously a very like direct small plugin, which I like. And then I add this class into that setting. There's like one little setting that gets added to the page. And then it allows me to like move some margins. So this is really helpful. Here, I used it on this site. And I think on the homepage too, where I had to remove the margin bottom of the page because, let me see. Yeah, I think this right here is the footer, this black part. And then this tan part is part of the homepage. Well, if I just saved this page, there'd be a white gap between them. And I tried to get away with it, and the designer was like, no. Mostly because I've had designers intentionally put those white gaps there before. So I was like, it'll be fine. And the designer said it will not be fine. And I was like, touche. So that class literally just like, if you have an instance like this, you can add a body class and it'll remove the white gap there for my fellow perfectionists. Line height 1. Don't know when I've needed that, but I've apparently needed it. For the most part, you can set that. Honestly, for this, if I need this, I normally just group whatever I need, and then I assign a line height of 1 to that group, and then it goes, goes in. Z-index 9, if you're familiar with z-indexing, like it'll just pull stuff on top. So nothing else like has a z-index by default. It only gets manually added by developers. So if you set z-index 9 on something, it should sit on top of everything else. The exception would be like it won't sit on top of your ads because ads add z-indexes of like 99999999999. They're like, these ads will show. So they won't show on top of that. We've got a couple opacity classes. They will allow you to set like a whole element to be semi-transparent. So you couldn't just do like, that's not true. Whatever block you apply it to, it'll also apply to all nested blocks. So if I wanted like the background of this to be transparent, I couldn't because this section has blocks inside of it, this would also have transparency and this would also have transparency. So the whole thing would end up with a lower opacity. Guys, we still have a number of classes to go. Should I speed up? Hannah says yes. Overflow hidden, that could be something that would fix a scroll. So like if I have, if I wanted to pull something up, but not have it show in the white area, I would use overflow hidden on this black. And then everything that would previously like have fallen out of the area no longer will. So if you're familiar with CSS, you'll notice a lot of my classes are like exactly the same as what the CSS is. Overflow hidden. Oh, look, overflow hidden. So that'll help a little. Force cover, these are for like cover blocks where I want the image to be like full height and then just like zoom in. I think there's a couple places where I did use this in Baked and Branded. Box shadow, we don't need this anymore because I have custom box shadows in Baked and Branded. So you shouldn't need this the way that it's set up. You can just apply your own box shadows and they have a whole bunch of different settings, but I have one that I specifically created the way I like it. There are times where maybe you don't want an image to be really large on mobile, but you do need it to be larger on desktop. If that's the case, I use mobile 50% or mobile with 50%. They do the exact same thing. And that will set the width to half of the screen. So let me see if this is a good example. Yeah, so if I wanted this image to only be half of the screen, and I was like, that image is too big, I hate it, I would come in here and I would add a new class and it would be mobile with 50%, and then it would make it smaller. I like that one. I can make things square. This is helpful for like the icons and things like that, where you need a perfect circle. Is square, I'm almost always using to make a perfect circle, not a perfect square. But then when I add a border radius to that square, then it becomes a circle. Rotation, this is what Hannah likes. You can have your icons hover or rotate on hover by using these classes, which I have not set up because do we really need that? The answer is yes, I will get it for you guys, I promise. Lots of different degrees there. Flex modifiers. This is for when I'm using rows. So rows, usually it's going to be for a row. You saw me use some of these today, actually. So this will let me center some items. I've got like, I used to use a brand logos class. I don't think I use it in, I maybe use it for that one block where you need logos just to like center them. Flex shrink will keep something from getting smaller by default. If something's in a row and it's using like the row block, the contents will try and get smaller in order to fit on the screen. If I've set something to like 80 pixels and I want to make sure it always stays 80 pixels, so the circle logo that you guys saw, I add this class flex shrink to it. You guys saw that I used row reverse. This is actually pretty important, and I would love to do a plugin that makes this easier for you guys. The reason that it's important is for, you guessed it, accessibility. If I wanted this content to be in the other direction, this is not a good example, but there are times when you need content to show in a certain order, or if they were going to read it in the HTML, because screen readers don't read based on what you can see with your eyes, they read the code. If I needed it to be like, I needed this to say, have another drink, and then on the right, I wanted it to say, go ahead, I still need my HTML to say, go ahead first. And so that's where I use CSS to like flip it visually for us. But I need like the main item to be first in my code. So row reverse allows you to like flip something visually without actually rearranging the HTML. So when you use columns, you have column A and column B, and column A needs to be before column B. But for some reason you want them to be flipped like this. So now B, if you just move them, B would be first and then A would be underneath it. And you don't want that. I wish I had a practical example for you guys. It would make a lot more sense, but this is cool. And then there's a few variations on like how you use that, whether you're using it in a row, whether you're using it on desktop, if you need it to happen on mobile, or wait, row or column, desktop or mobile. So there's these different classes do that, and I can document those. I did not realize I had so many classes, guys. Gap zero, these are for media and text blocks. So if you have a media and text, there are certain cases where the colors, I have a good example of, no, I needed this tab. We'll come back. I don't have a good example. I lied. Ooh, okay, here. Media and text. This is on a background color. It has its own color here. This on mobile can get really weird if you don't set the gap to 0 and then add padding all around. You guys will do this and you'll be like, why does Lauren make it work and we can't? And it's because I know about things like gap 0. Okay, here. See how there's even spacing all around it here? That's because of gap 0. Also, we're using column reverse, I believe, on this. See how it was left and right on desktop, but then it's top and bottom on mobile? That's tricky. Look at this, it went right back to where I needed it. You can add other gap amounts. You shouldn't need those, so we're gonna skip them. This is another flex modifier, space between. Okay, mobile scroll nav. This is the nav that I need to work on this site where it's scrolling up and down. This uses some classes and a specific structure to achieve that mobile scroll in such a way that it looks really good on mobile and it looks really good on desktop. So it's a little bit of black magic. Technically, you can use this flex scroll in other areas as well. So you can make other content scroll. But I think as well, I'm also going to try and get this one into a plugin because it's a little finicky. You have to know like when to use this fixed margins. So I probably bored you to tears, Melissa, but those are all the classes. I will also work on documenting them with details. And then some of them, as I mentioned, we're trying to get plugins to make it a little bit easier for you to use that stuff, because I do agree, like they're nice things to have. And WordPress doesn't have like a good way to like add that in. I mean, WordPress has to think about not just the accessibility on the front end, but the accessibility for you as users. And so if I'm doing a plugin, like I can kind of not worry about that quite as much as they need to. Not boring. Yay. Melissa, if I remember correctly, you've done development, right? So like these classes are like, they make sense to you. Like even you knowing where this is probably like you could read through this and make some headway. Okay, cool. Those are classes. I'll document that. I will get details on plugins. I know I'm promising a lot of plugins, but they're not our top priority. So if you guys have something where you're like, actually, Lauren, this would make a big difference for me, let us know, because those would be the ones that we can prioritize. Otherwise, we're prioritizing stuff like either based on what custom clients need or what we personally need is like how things get prioritized. So if you want it on the priority list, you just squeaky wheel gets the oil.
Yep, so true.
Okay, the last thing I could do is I could look at this, like play around with this up here. Seems like Melissa might like that. Does everyone else want to sit through that? Or you guys like want to ask other questions? And please, Lauren, don't do this to us.
No, I want to watch you fix the dancing.
Okay, let me see if I can. I've done it once before and I don't remember how or why. So
I'm confident you've got this.
I'm really gonna have to try a lot of stuff, I think. How come I can't right click? Okay. Let's do that. Oh, it's not happening to me on mobile, so we'll just do desktop. It's not happening to me at all on desktop right now. There. Okay, so if I'm over a button, it's happening. So we're going to try a few different things. First of all, we're going to... Okay, it does still happen if there's nowhere to scroll. This one looks different, so I want to delete it. It does still happen. And then can I just get down to 1 to remove any confusion? Yeah, okay. 44, 44, 44. But something must be just over 44. So we're going to see if we can troubleshoot what part it is. Height, 45 pixels. Okay, it's not that. Height, 45 pixels. Nope. So it's something in the button itself. Maybe. Yeah. Okay, so the link is slightly larger than 44 pixels. And therefore, this button is scrolling. All right, I want to remove these heights so I can see that scroll again. I wonder if I change that link to inline block. No. Can I change it to a different display? I know what it is. It's because it's the zoom that I added because I was so clever. It's because it's zooming. So if I do transform, hold, hover, hover, and I remove the scale. Oh, well, I thought I was clever.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, and I remove this scale. It's the scale. All right, what am I going to do to fix that? I'm going to restart. So in here, if we have hover, we're going to remove, where did I miss this? Scale. We're going to remove both of those. And then now this doesn't happen because it's not getting bigger on scale. What's interesting is that that's obviously the solution here, but it's not going to be the solution here because there's no scale happening here. So I basically need to make sure that buttons have extra room when this is larger, that these get larger as well. The scale is only being applied to the link, not to the button. So there's a couple options. I guess one that's probably easiest for me is I could say if the link is inside of this mobile menu scroll or flex scroll or anything like that, that I want to not have it scale on hover. That's probably the easiest one for me because I could apply that to all sites and it would work out of the box. Your buttons wouldn't have a hover effect, so not great for accessibility, but a better user experience for other users where it's not scrolling up and down. And that's what I'm kind of tempted to do. I also want to find another solution, but that's my initial thought is I'm going to remove scale from these buttons to avoid issues. Okay, so let's assume that we're keeping scale because Melissa loves it. And could we apply an opacity change? Yeah. Okay, cool. Couple of questions. I wouldn't want to apply an opacity change on my end, but we could do a class. And we probably, what do we have in here? Opacity. We probably just need to add a hover opacity classes. So sort of like how we have those hover rotate, we could add hover opacity classes, and then you would manually add in the hover opacity class because you want to have that hover effect still and do it with opacity. I would probably, if I were choosing what I wanted to do, I would do the hover underline hover underline. I love how many classes I have. Yeah, this hover underline class. I would apply that as my effect. So I'd keep this transform turned off. And then I could apply that way up here if I wanted to on this buttons block. I could say hover underline, and then they would have this hover effect instead. So that's probably what I would do, is like in Creator, I would disable the scale from this. And then in my particular site where I want to have the scale, I would add in the hover underline to the buttons block. And then all the buttons inside of it would have underline on hover. I am trying to think of, if you like the scale though, if there's a way we could keep that. Like if I kept that and I removed hover underline, could I add something else? Like, could I add that all of these buttons had padding, I don't know, 2 pixels, top and bottom? And then that way, when it scrolls, there's extra space. That would be another thing. And I could do that on my end. I'm thinking there might be a use case where this would be detrimental to someone for their design, but in most cases, I think it would work, because now I can hover this and you can't see it. Yeah, Laura likes the underline. I like it too. So I think what I would want to do on my end, Melissa, sorry if I'm hitting that mic and it's being loud. I'm probably going to add a fix in Creator as a parent theme that turns off that scale, like, yeah, that prevents that scale. I think I'd have to do it in Baked and Branded actually, but I'll release an update to Baked and Branded that removes that scale if there's a scroll. And then if you want to have some sort of hover effect, you would go in and add in a class. And then I can get with you on what you want that class to be. Like, because we already have hover underline, but I can write like a little snippet of code for you if you want to do any other type of hover, or if you wanted to even keep the scale, and then I give you the little piece of CSS that'll fix that. So I'll give you a piece of code that like undoes what I undo, and then adds this 2 pixels here, which I would maybe do is like 0.1 em. Nope, I have to pick an actual number. Hate that for me. Could do that, just because this one will scale. Yeah. And then that way you can pick what you want to happen on hover. But then I can fix like the foundational issue. That was fun, guys. Let's troubleshoot more stuff.
It is 2 p.m. and I am busy adding Laura's site and Melissa's site to the Baked and Branded sales page. So I really got to focus on that, you guys. I'm going to totally mess up the screenshots. Do what works.
Well,
people for sure.
I'm going to do the update for Baked and Branded. And then, Melissa, will you email us and just be like, hey, here's how I want this hover to work, and I will make that happen for you.
Casual.
Well, now I have her site up. I know how to do it. Yay.
Can the hover dance? Okay, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna stop.
You can't actually have effects like that, but I hate them. Someone online, I don't remember what it was. Oh, Kitchen Whisperer, Laura, who's sometimes here. No, Lori, who's sometimes here. She emailed and said that like someone was recommending you take smooth scroll off of her site, and she was like, why would you just want it to jump there instead of like being pretty? And I was like, I responded to her and I was like, actually, I don't like movement on my website. Like, I am prone to motion sickness. I do not like animations. I cannot stand when sites like animate content in. Like, can I turn that off? Because I feel a little sick.
Like that one time that we had Baked and Branded just spinning.
Oh God, yeah.
You felt like you were stuck on a carousel for the rest of your life.
I was like, I could do this. This is possible. I'm dying.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it on the Pasta Twins and Simply Whisked, Melissa. I was stalking your other sites as well while Lauren coded things. Sorry, guys. See you next week, Laura. Cheers. She's ready to get out of here. Are you trying to troubleshoot more things? Melissa's trying to decide. She needs time.
She's going to email us when she decides. No, we're good. I told you guys I wouldn't just spend time here to spend time here, and I spent a full ass hour here. So
a full hour. I feel like it gave us a lot of value, though. You know, the people that were paying attention and understood.
Cool. Actually, I was really glad because I was like, probably no one's going to have more than one question. We'll be like wrapped up, and like, that's fine. But like, it's really fun for me when people come with questions. So.
Well, we've already blocked off a time, so I love spending it with you guys and actually doing something of value. You're working on mock-ups. Well, another cocktail blog looks adorable, so I'm excited to see what the rest look like. You are killing it. So cute. All right, guys. Lauren turned off the screen share. She's willing to let go.
I'm willing to let go.
You're going to go commit to your kombucha now?
Enjoy this is good. Wildflower. This is delicious. We literally bought it because it had a pretty bottle, and I think we got the 25th anniversary one. It was like teal, and it was also pretty good. And then Christopher was like, I threw away the bottle, and I was like, I guess we need a new one then.
Well, I'm glad it made your Wednesday, plus everyone's questions too. Yeah. All right, guys. Look out for your blog on the sales page later today. It will be launching very soon.
All right. Bye, guys.
Thanks for spending time with us. See y'all next week.